Marcus Webb was a garbage collector in the small town of Millfield, a man who had never owned anything fancier than a second-hand truck and a worn-out pair of work gloves. Every morning before sunrise, he would drag heavy bins along the sleeping streets, invisible to the world, breathing in the smell of other people's waste, while the rest of the town dreamed warm dreams behind closed curtains. He had done this job for 19 years without complaint, not because life had been kind to him, but because he believed that honest work, no matter how humble, was a form of dignity. It was on one such ordinary Tuesday morning, during a bitter November cold snap, that Marcus first noticed the old man. He was sitting on a flattened cardboard box beside a dumpster on Elm Street, wrapped in a thin gray blanket that offered almost no protection against the freezing air, his long white beard tangled with dried leaves, his eyes half closed but still somehow alert, watching Marcus with a quiet intensity. That felt unsettling for a man who appeared to have nothing left. Marcus hesitated, then without thinking too deeply about it, he reached into his lunch bag and pulled out the ham sandwich his wife Clara had packed for him and held it out. The old man looked at it for a long moment before accepting it, nodding once, saying nothing. Marcus went back to work. The next morning, the old man was still there. Marcus brought an extra sandwich. The morning after that, he brought 2 sandwiches and a thermos of hot coffee. Within a week, Clara was packing a separate bag just for the man on Elm Street, whom they had quietly started calling Mr. Gray, not knowing his real name. Weeks passed like this. Marcus would stop his truck, sit on the curb for a few minutes, share whatever Clara had sent, and the 2 men would exchange a handful of words about the weather or the birds, or the color of the morning sky. Mr. Gray spoke slowly and carefully, choosing each word the way a chess player chooses each move, and Marcus noticed that the old man seemed to know a great deal about many things without ever seeming to show off about it. He talked about soil erosion in a way that made Marcus think of rivers, and about water filtration like a man who had once stood inside a system and understood its bones. Marcus never asked too many questions. He just showed up every morning with food and warmth, and slowly, cautiously, Mr. Gray began to thaw. One freezing morning in January, Marcus arrived to find the old man burning with fever, barely conscious, slumped sideways against the dumpster. Without a second thought, Marcus loaded him into his truck, drove him to the county hospital, and insisted the staff treat him immediately, paying the deposit out of his own pocket, a sum that left him unable to pay the electric bill that month. While Mr. Gray was unconscious in the hospital bed, a nurse found a battered leather wallet tucked deep inside his coat. Inside was a single laminated card. She brought it to the attending doctor, who went pale when he read it. The card identified the old man as Dr. Edmund Voss, formerly the lead researcher at the Halcyon Institute of Environmental Sciences, the man who had spent 30 years developing a water purification compound that could theoretically remove 97% of all known toxins from groundwater, using nothing more than sunlight and a crystalline formula he had patented in 2004. The formula had gone dormant when his funding was cut, when his lab burned down under suspicious circumstances, and when grief over the loss of his daughter had pulled him away from everything and left him, wandering for the better part of a decade. Buried inside the wallet was also a small folded paper containing a 16-digit access code to a secure digital vault registered in his name, one that held the complete research files, unpublished data, and the final optimized version of the compound formula, something that international health organizations had spent years trying to reconstruct from fragments. When Dr. Voss regained consciousness 2 days later and found Marcus sitting beside his bed holding a cup of hospital coffee, he looked at the garbage collector for a long time before speaking. He said that he had not trusted anyone in 11 years. He said that he had watched people from that cardboard box every morning and seen what they were made of, the way a man who has nothing left can see clearly through everything that is unnecessary. He said that Marcus had never looked at him with pity, never with disgust, never with that particular expression people use when they want credit for noticing the poor. He had just looked at him like another person. Dr. Voss gave the access code to Marcus and asked him to contact the Global Water Foundation on his behalf. The research that followed led to a field-testable version of the purification compound being deployed in pilot programs across 3 continents within 18 months. Conservative estimates suggested it had the potential to provide clean drinking water to over 40 million people in water-stressed regions within a decade. Marcus Webb went back to collecting garbage the following Monday. He told Clara everything over dinner. She held his hand across the table and said she was not surprised, because goodness, real goodness, always finds its way to where it is needed. Marcus just smiled and asked if there was any more bread. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And subscribe to our channel, Kindness Corner Stories, where every story reminds us that ordinary people carry extraordinary power within them. Your support keeps these stories alive.